I'm going to give you a demo of the Harvest desktop platform. So we looked at the energy packages before and then doing the survey to size the bill of materials. Now let's look at a community that's actually been connected into an Okra mesh grid. So here's a community. As you know, the Okra Pod enables solar and battery to be installed at a household, and then the pod does remote monitoring, mobile money billing, and then remote control of the system. But the cool feature is that if households are close to each other, they can actually be interlinked from one pod to the next with a plug-and-play cable, and then you've got our software sharing power between these households, making energy more reliable, more available, and less panels and batteries required. So here's an Okra mesh network, and you can see because there's a bit of a distance, a second network was set up, and then a standalone system, and then another one over here. And yeah, there's mesh grids throughout this entire community providing power. So now that we've got this set up and there's all this data being reported from the IoT, what does it look like and what can we tell from it? Well, we can see top level metrics in the overview tab. That's useful for portfolio managers or executive level people running the energy business. What's the average daily load? What's the revenue like? And what's the utilization for each of the users who are on different energy packages? You can also look at a summary of each of the communities set up and look at the uptime and look at other information such as number of households there and any actions that haven't been addressed. But then going one level lower, we can look at the details associated with each of the villages in these communities. So the IoT data is coming in and showing us, what's the system uptime, and then going a step lower, we can look at, why have certain households not been paying for power and what's the reason behind that. We can see a lot of it is no credit, some maintenance issues, and some, for example, a battery's been shut off. And then with this information, usually the project manager is figuring out how to address them. All right, all these households, we need to give them a message or a call and find out why are you not topping up your credit. And maybe the case is that the household is actually not there because it's farming season, or maybe they're just not there at all. And based on that information, you can address it appropriately, which might involve even moving the system somewhere else or changing the package of the household so they find it more affordable to top up their credit. Going to another feature through the Harvest platform, we know that an important part of last mile electrification is to make sure that the communities actually benefit from this power, but also to make sure that these networks are profitable for the energy companies delivering them. So productive appliance financing is actually something that's really cool that we can do through the IoT. So here's a range of different appliances and the daily repayment rate. So keep in mind the way that most customers are billed through the Okra platform is through prepaid and on a different energy rate. So basically, households top up balance onto their IoT device by paying with mobile money, and that balance slowly comes down based on the energy they use. But now you can also finance an appliance to the household and say, in addition to the energy that you use on a daily basis, you'll be paying 377 real for your rice cooker. And when that balance comes down to zero, the household actually gets cut off from power by our software, which encourages them to keep topping up their balance. So let's check it out. Here's a house, I think it's 18. Let's open it up. This household has their energy rate they're paying. This is their current balance, and they have a rice cooker that they're financing, and they've paid off 48% of it. This is pretty cool to see because it means that the household is using more energy, and they're using a rice cooker that is obviously helping their livelihood, and that increased use of energy is increasing the profitability of this network. So a range of appliances can be financed, and it's a very important aspect of keeping that impact high and the average load high in these networks. The final feature that I wanted to show you is the maintenance feature. So there is a lot of data that's coming through from these IoT devices. So again, let's just jump into a house. Actually, I've pre-opened one. So this is house 31. You can see a lot of information from the PV performance, the battery performance, to the household load, etc. But you don't necessarily want to see all that information. You can see it through analytics here or here. But what most energy companies and project managers want to see is the key metrics. What do I actually have to do, and what's the importance behind it? So right now there are no fresh insights because they've all been actioned. But if we look at the actions, and let's look at, for example, this community prec spend, the insights pop up. So it says, for this house, our data automatically picks up and says, fix faulty wiring for solar. And so the project manager looked at this insight and then decided that we need to check the PV cable, check the fuse, and if none of those two work, then reset the pod. And if that doesn't work, replace the pod. And that's because there's no solar power coming into the battery. Here's another insight that popped up. Check battery for tampering. And basically our algorithms suggest that solar PV is being generated, but there is no load that the customer is being billed for. They've got low usage. So perhaps they're actually tampering and connecting directly to the battery, stealing power from the network. And so these insights and actions can be used by the project managers and the field staff who are often in the community to actually quickly identify issues and conduct maintenance. And by doing all of this assessment remotely and using local people on the ground, it's really reducing the operations and maintenance costs while maintaining very high network uptime and happy paying customers. Cool. Thanks for that.